What's up, cool people? I'm Matt Conroy, and I just a couple days ago, at least as of recording this, got back from my holiday break, we'll call it. I was in Pennsylvania visiting my family for, I guess it was about 2 weeks. I was there for Christmas and New Year's, and, got to have plenty of family time for sure. Also, spent a little time with my friends around the area, a little time with extended family too. I thought about doing kind of a recap sort of thing, but I don't know if there was really that much that's interesting enough to communicate in a video. I will say though, kind of early on in my break, during my visit, I came to a bit of a realization kind of just through circumstances that hadn't necessarily come up previous years. Point is, around some holiday or another, I made a video talking about traditions, especially family traditions around certain holidays. And sometimes you have these traditions, and what I realized this time around is that, sometimes there are multiple facets to these traditions within a family, and until you're somewhat forced to cut a particular aspect of it out, you don't always realize which is the more important or significant part of the tradition. Like, for example, from this break, from this visit with my family, it happened that we went out to get a tree for Christmas, as we do every year, because my family prefers to do live trees, and I think maybe it was one of those tradition building kind of experiences where it's like, hey, let's have some family time together where we get to, go out and pick out the tree. And most years prior, it was like, we had been on some sort of kind of wagon cart ride on the way out to the area to cut the trees down, and then there was the picking of the tree and the cutting of the tree and all that kind of stuff. And this year there was a bit of a decision to be made, because there was one place that we had gone multiple times that was kind of our main Christmas tree spot, but I guess because of how late in the season it was, and or probably some other factors as well, they were not, like, all the trees were already pre-cut, and they were just, giving out, selling trees of various sizes, I guess, and just letting you pick which one you wanted and take that with you. But it had, the cart ride from previous years. So the option was go to that place and get the cart ride, but not so much the choosing, and cutting the tree, or go to this other place where we'll still get to have the whole tree selection process as we had it pretty much every other time beforehand. And my dad had kind of asked me and my siblings all which one we would have preferred, and it was basically unanimous that picking the tree was the crucial part of it. And it was one of those things where I don't think my parents or any of us had really particularly realized that that was the most significant part of the whole operation, or the whole tradition, was the looking through the trees, seeing which ones we liked and which ones we didn't, narrowing them down, and then ultimately selecting the tree that we wanted. we didn't even have to cut it this year, which my dad certainly did not mind when all was said and done, because it saved him some work. Normally, he's the one cutting down the tree each year. So, it's one of those things where it's not necessarily bad cutting back on some things, as long as you have sort of the core of what's there in terms of these traditions and things like that. And I don't know, it makes me wonder to some extent what other things would maybe be similar, but I don't know if there are any of our other family Christmas traditions that we could really cut anything out of and still have it feel satisfactory. Especially for Christmas Day. Not really. No, I don't think we could do that any different. Other than, maybe the food that we have on Christmas Day. I don't know if I'm really set on, we need to have this specific thing on Christmas Day. Thanksgiving, okay, yeah, kinda. It's kind of interesting that I mentioned the whole cutting back aspect on that, because after returning from the break that I had, returning from my family visit, in church just a couple of days later, they got to talking about, cutting back on some things, not necessarily because they're in a bad financial situation. I mean, it might partially be because it's like they're looking to do some big projects this year. But, according to the pastor there, the intent of it is, even if something is good, we don't want to necessarily hold it up as like this sacred cow that, it has to stay. We need to keep it, if it's only a thing that's kind of good but isn't great, per se. And that sort of got me thinking a little bit about some things in my own life that I do, especially things that I do on a regular basis that maybe I could and or should cut back on, because, they might be things that I kind of enjoy, things that certainly fill up some of my free time, but maybe they're not great. Like, there's one particular video game that I play. It's essentially, I don't want to necessarily oversimplify it and say, it's a Candy Crush with a different coat of paint. The core gameplay is still, like matching stuff like that, but there's so much else that has been added on to this game over the couple of years that I've been playing it, and it's gotten to a point where it's crazy. Like, I could spend practically an entire day, especially at the start of a new week, I could spend like an entire day just taking care of all this new stuff that has like kind of reset over the week. And I mean, most of the time I kind of enjoy playing the game, but to the same extent, it's it feels like it's kind of exhausting in a sense. Like, I wonder if it takes up too much of my time. And so there are kind of some things like that I'm kind of thinking through right now, wondering if I should scale back and or even get rid of some of these things. My YouTube channel and doing these videos and stuff like that is one of those things that I'm contemplating. I certainly don't think I'm going to completely get rid of this, but, I had mentioned, I don't know, 2 years, maybe a year and a half ago, sometime previously, that it felt like the way I was doing things on the channel was kind of a drain, and like I felt like I had to rush things to try and keep up, and I didn't want to do that, and I mean, maybe it's just because I got back from my break and I had like one video that was all set up and ready to upload, and nothing else even so much as recorded. But I'm kind of wondering if maybe it would be a good idea to sort of scale this back a bit again and not worry about putting as much out there week in and week out. Because, let's face it, most of my videos get hardly any views as it is. So what do I care at this point if I'm, doing what normally gets you ignored by the YouTube algorithm and, not putting as much content out there. Because, the point of me doing this, the point of me starting this wasn't to get YouTube famous or anything like that. But it was just kind of to put myself out there a little bit. It originated as an extension of like journaling for me. That's why I always, in the early stages of my channel, I always said, welcome to my vlog, because it was kind of a video journal sort of thing. And, the putting myself out there aspect of it was really the intent and the purpose behind it, not so much the, okay, got to keep up with the YouTube algorithm and get myself noticed by putting all these videos out there on a regular basis. It was, I certainly wouldn't say it was a bad thing that I was able to get content out there as frequently as I was, especially towards the end of this past year. But like I said, I'm thinking through this stuff. Nothing's for sure yet, but I might kind of scale some of this stuff back, because maybe there are some better things that I could be doing. I mean, heck, if I cut back on some of the video games, it might be easier for me to keep up with the YouTube stuff, because then I'd be able to focus a little more on editing more videos, creating more stuff, because the ideas have not gone away. And, the ability to do this stuff hasn't diminished by any means. But I do feel like I've kind of been pressing myself a little bit to keep up with the same schedule that I've had. So anyway, as of right now, like I said, nothing is for sure going to change. I might have to scale back a bit to two videos or even one video a week, depending on the circumstances, especially right now, because, this, as I'm done recording this, will be the only video that I have recorded, and then I'll have to edit a little bit and then get this up there. But otherwise, I got squat right now. It's ready for any kind of YouTube usage. Now I have tomorrow off as well, and then I'll kind of be getting back more into my regular schedule of things, and I'll have some time here and there to record and edit and do stuff like that. So that's why I'm not really sure whether I'm going to cut back or not. But just be forewarned that there might be some cutbacks on this. So anyway, I guess I will challenge you, the viewers, in a way similar to how I've been challenged, and just kind of ask everyone who ends up watching this to take a look at what you're doing and which things, they might be things that you enjoy, but at the same time could possibly cut back on, and just kind of examine these things that you do sometimes without even thinking about it, and what could be changed, possibly. I know the start of a new year is often a time when people make resolutions and stuff like that. I'm not necessarily for or against the idea of resolutions, but I feel like it's more of a, well, don't force yourself to come up with some big idea that you're going to aim for if it doesn't feel like it's something that you'll actually put in the effort towards. This was not a New Year's resolution thing that I had planned. This came about, as I said, primarily from going to church and hearing that, you know, they were maybe going to cut back on some things, even some things that were deemed good, but not great. And I guess for us as people in general, there will be times when we have to cut back on things that we think are good in order to focus on the things that are great, and or bring in new things that are great instead of just good. So that's kind of what I'm challenging myself with as this year sort of gets started, and it's something that I guess I would encourage you to challenge yourself to think about as well. So, anyway, I didn't even go into this video planning on having it be some sort of a challenge thing, but, you know, something about me, it feels like I haven't made a video appropriately, certainly not a topical vlog type video, without there being some sort of takeaway from it. I don't know why that is, but that's just kind of how I am with these. Anyway, so that's it. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you enjoyed your holiday season as much as, or maybe even more than I did. And I hope that 2020 ends up being a good year for all of you. And I'm hoping we can all kind of challenge ourselves in some way, or improve on things that we're doing, or something or another to make this year better than the last one in some way. So, anyway, yeah. You know what to do in terms of following my channel and all that stuff, and if you don't, just look down in the description for info on the channel, social media, all that kind of stuff, and leave your comments down below. If you have something that you want to challenge yourself with, something that you're thinking about and want a second opinion on, or ideas for me, things that I can talk about, or, you know, video ideas that might even add to or simplify my whole process thing, whatever you have for me, let me know down below. So, that's it for now. Hope you're all doing well. Hopefully I will see you in the next video, whenever that might be. Probably sometime within the next week. But until then, stay cool, people.